Yeah, we got drunk and threw spears, and I won the contest. It was awesome.
Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I am Searanex, clocking in with my good friends Gristle and 9 of 12. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's another 2 weeks. What have you guys been doing the last couple of weeks? I mean,
Being sick.
yeah, that too. But
my husband's band debuted. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been
Nice.
noticing you've been posting live streams of it of them on Facebook and such.
Yeah, I post a lot of, stuff from open mic, because, they're all my buddies, but
Yeah.
when the band debuted, I put a couple up, because that's a brand new group, and it's all original, and it's rocking, and it was really exciting.
Yeah. Cool.
pretty
And they already got booked. They got booked from that. There was a guy who does booking for another place
Awesome.
there.
Awesome.
So,
That is
Yeah,
very
being
cool.
being a friend of another musician in our ring of friends who's constantly getting booked for places. It's always nice to get that notoriety and get more gigs in general.
Sure.
So, and thankfully for me, work has been dying down a little bit. So like for the last 3 weeks, I'm still part time, but they were giving me full time hours, and it was a little rough for a little bit there because between that and not being able to consistently sleep because of a newborn, it was a little rough. But
Oh yeah, man. I hope that's
don't miss it.
yeah.
I hope that's like dying down a little bit. You mentioned that
Yeah.
that was getting better at one point.
Yeah, thankfully, my newborn is starting to sleep for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Like she's going down for like 7, 8, 9 hours at night.
Good.
It's just now we gotta try to shift it into like the proper time because she's doing at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to like 11.
Right. That's
And,
not gonna work.
Yeah,
That doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, we need to kind of shift it a little bit back a couple hours or forward a couple hours. And then
Yeah.
now I'm back to part-time hours at work, which I have a little bit of time to actually rest, be with family and everything. Although I'm going to try to endeavor to do some stuff to supplement income. One of which is when I was on the Geek Grills was a couple months ago now, something like that. Luminescence mentioned a website called acx.com where you can audition to do narrations for audiobooks and stuff like that through Audible and such. And I'm actually pretty much right after we're done recording this, I'm going to try to grab an audition from that and record and go from there, see if I can get anything from that. Because even if it's just like a one project a month or something, that's an extra couple $100, which could
Every
be
little bit, man.
Yeah, be very
It
helpful.
all
And
adds up.
yeah, and it's something I more or less enjoy doing too, which is nice.
Yeah.
So
Have you thought about doing like Lyft? That's what I started doing.
really,
Lots of people are doing that.
I have not considered doing that because, first of all, I didn't know that was a thing, and second of all, my car is kind of wonky right now.
Yeah, that would be a
So,
problem.
yeah, I think it has an exhaust leak, and occasionally, granted, it's only done it like twice in the last like 2 months, but it's stalled out twice trying to start up. So need to, once I get a little bit more income, we can spare the money for it. We'll try to get that repaired. Once we're able to get that repaired, then we're able to put our kids' car seats back in there. My wife will primarily be driving that, and we're actually trying to get another car from my uncle. So we're trying to figure out insurance and all that jazz, but we might be
Is it a
potentially.
truck?
No, it's actually a Honda Fit. So it's
Ooh,
a small
Honda's
car.
good.
Yes.
Nice.
So, well, like I said, we're still figuring out insurance and all that jazz, but yeah. So that's been the last couple weeks. Plus, for whatever reason, I've been going on to like a retro gaming trip lately, and I just downloaded uh like a bunch of old school Command and Conquer games, like Red Alert 2 and
Yeah.
everything.
Oh my, I love Red Alert 2.
Yeah, that's still one of my favorites. I got and
Love Red Alert 2.
I a while ago, I'm like 4 or 5 years ago, I think I bought the Ultimate Edition for Command and Conquer, which came with like 17 games, and it's just been I bought it online on Origin, and I still have it there. I just downloaded a bunch of it again today, and I'll probably
Uh-huh.
randomly work through it again because I loved those campaigns, and
Yeah,
they're
man.
just really cool.
The whole world is really neat. I
Yeah,
remember playing that. It's like that's my childhood, dude.
yeah, yeah. Mine too. So
It's
I've
great.
been playing a bunch of World of Warcraft.
yeah,
I was
Yeah, it's
weirdly
one of those things you
thinking
cycle
about
and
that
jump
today.
back in, and the catch-up mechanics are real good. There's a couple quests that have this puzzle in it that actually came to mind in your Guardians playthrough.
oh
That
yeah,
whole puzzle with the lens.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
The ones in WoW are way more annoying, though.
Yeah,
Just saying. But I got a rare mount, and that was exciting.
awesome. Yeah, I haven't. I as much as I loved World of Warcraft when I was playing it, I don't see myself getting back into it. Oh,
Yeah, me either. I don't have time. I want to have
yeah,
time
that
because I've had like a weird like nostalgia feel for it. Like I'd love to get back in and play because I had some good times there, but I can't dedicate the time to it right now.
yeah,
Well, we kind of, I mean, if you're not raiding and being all super serial, it's not that, time consuming. I mean, my husband and I, instead of watching TV, in the evening, we'll like, hey, let's jump in WoW and spend an hour and a half doing, world quests or whatever. And it's funny, our guild it's small but nice, still
Yeah.
family.
yeah.
Um, the other night it was, what,
Uh,
was it Thursday or no, Tuesday night? It was like our bank officer and her husband and me and Rob were the only people in. And I'm like, oh look, it's Pancakes and Ruffles date night.
yeah.
Nice.
I don't know. I really liked the role playing aspect of when we were playing it. Like what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago now, something like that.
A lot,
Yeah, it was a
probably
while ago.
longer. Yeah.
But yeah. Speaking of role playing, I'm really looking forward to introducing my new character in your campaign. Whenever
Oh
we have the
yeah.
next campaign, next
The next.
session.
I'm gonna kind of shoot for the 6th, so, but
Okay.
we can talk about that. But
Is
yeah,
that's next weekend or next Friday?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
because
That's what I want
I
to
have
shoot
that
for.
day off. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, and I don't think I
Um.
work in the morning the next day. So I think I work the next day, but I don't think it's an opening shift. So we should be good,
I was
at least
thinking
from my
about
end.
not to jump off of D&D and back to like the MMO thing, but I've been seeing stuff for Guild Wars 2. I guess they released some update or something recently, and man, it looks really good.
Yeah,
Which was surprising to me because I played Guild Wars when it first came out, and I mean, I played it with friends, so I had a good time, but it didn't have the same pull as World of Warcraft. But like the new stuff really looks very World of Warcraft-y, and that's probably what
yeah,
got me started on the nostalgia like feeling of jumping around with my friends in World of Warcraft. But I was like, man, if I had the time, if I had the time,
yeah,
with school and work and running the kids around, like I don't have time for that.
yeah.
Can't do it.
Hence why we're part-time gamers.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
all right, but we can go ahead and jump into our water cooler talk. Starting with Zach, what article what'd you bring today?
What did I bring today? I have an article from PCGamer.com, and it's the title kind of says it all. Valve removes 173 spam games from Steam. all published by one person. And that like immediately caught my attention because I was like, what? But of course there are sometimes you see games in the marketplace and you're like, really? Somebody made this? Like,
Yeah.
and they're charging for it. And I always wondered like why, and are they actually hoping to get money? Because most people, even if you're like slightly discerning, you're probably not going to buy Shapes 4, Shapes 5, Shapes 6, or Shapes 7. And I don't even know what those games are, but just by the title alone, I'm sure that, not just to judge a book by its
It's
cover, but
literally
like,
just
I'm
a
sure it's
series of
not.
flashcards that show you different shapes.
Right,
This is
like
a
that's what I'm
rhombus.
envisioning.
This is a square.
This is your geometry trainer for school. Like I don't know what they're doing. So I was wondering what that was about. But I guess what it was is these developers make them, and then they like farm their own trading cards out of them, and they can like make money off of that somehow. They sell them on the market or something. So like they make like hundreds of these games, and then they have like many different accounts go through and idle in their own games and farm their own trading cards. They don't even care if they sell, because they can make the trading cards, like I guess they can make them as rare as they want or something. I don't know how it all works, but apparently Valve, they finally decided to take action against it, and they just knocked them all off at the store, and they say they have they have ended their business relationship with that entity, which is known as like Silicon Echo, which I had never heard of before.
Yeah, one of which was Silicon Echo, as mentioned above.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just still don't understand like the whole trading card thing. Like,
Well, okay, so I'm not quite sure what the incentive is to, like, I would never buy a trading card. I don't see the point, but I don't do like market stuff, and I guess I get where you want to buy low and sell high. So like some people play that game, and that's fine. But I currently have a balance of $2.56 on Steam from literally selling just trading cards that I've got on random from playing Mark of the Ninja yesterday, and or not yesterday, a couple days ago. Like, I figure it's free money for Steam, and in the past I have gotten it up to like $10 and bought games with it before. So
yeah,
I figure, what the heck. But no, I'm with you. I don't quite understand why people are like, why there's a huge market for things, but they sell. Strangely enough, I don't know why, but they do.
yeah.
So I guess Valve is kind of trying to stop people from exploiting the system, which is good. It makes it kind of better for everybody who actually wants to.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's a game version of virtual currency. I know that my kids, especially my 16-year-old, talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
That's how I merged accounts. We did the account sharing on Steam. I was like, how did you even get all that? And it's a lot of buying and selling, quotes of cards and item drops and hats and crap in other games.
Right. And I understand some stuff. I guess to me, like, it's they're dumping value into something that literally has no value, which to me is crazy. But I guess you can make it work. Like, you can make some money off of it. But I just can't wrap my head around the fact that like I would be buying something that actually is worth nothing. There's not even like an entertainment value to it. It's just digital. It's just digital nothing. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That's the part I don't understand is, well, just trading cards in this context. Like, I can understand like trading cards for like baseball cards and whatever, because those are a thing. But it's just like random digital trading cards that don't actually do anything. I'm not the demographic, I guess.
All they do
I
is
see. I was going to compare it to baseball cards, so
right. I mean, like, I can see how you could make the comparison to a baseball card. Just the difference being that, like, of course, a baseball card is like a physical thing that you get, and you can display it, or you could sell it,
eventually,
or trade it, or
eventually, once it ages, it gains value, and it's something that is material. It's something that ages and has the threat of destruction, which that gives it rarity and value right there.
Right.
Whereas something that's digital is like, it's not going to age. So it's just
no, but it can. They create artificial scarcity and rarity, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
and completionists fall into that collection
Oh,
Exact.
idea.
See, that I think that's what it
that
is like
okay.
if you can't see past that or you don't care and you know how to work the system, that which a lot of people do, which is fine, then I think it works great for them. They're going to go ahead and just farm as many trading cards as they can and just get all into it. And some people, that's part of the whole that's part of the game. It's a game in and of itself. So that's fine, but I think I'm like you, Sean. I can't get into it. If
Yeah.
I can make like some small money and use it to buy games on sale on Steam, then hell yeah, I'm gonna do that. But
Yeah.
that's about the extent of what I'm gonna do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a game to you, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
Like
not.
I met a guy.
It's a way to get games.
I met a guy some years ago who he played World of Warcraft, but only played the auction house. Like that's all he did. He just
Yeah.
hmm
that's weird.
Well, I've got a
Uh,
we've got a friend who plays World of Warcraft, but he doesn't pay for it at all. He uses strictly the stuff you
the
could like because I guess you can
the
buy
WoW
time.
coins. Yeah.
Yeah, he strictly does that through auction house and all kinds of stuff. That's all he does.
But at
Yeah.
least he plays.
He plays, yeah, he plays. He does actually play the game, but his goals are different than like your normal MMO player. But I mean, we could do
Yeah.
a whole podcast on this guy.
Uh, all right. How about you, September? What'd you bring?
Well, you may or may not know that among Nintendo fans, there's been a dispute for a long time about whether Mario is telling Yoshi to go get something, pointing and saying go, or smacking him in the head to go stick out his tongue, grab stuff.
Yeah, I actually
Turns out,
I just recently saw a video online from a game theorist discussing this as well. But
well, apparently it's come out. And originally, yep, he was punching him. This
I'm
is
glad to hear that
according
because
to
I always thought that. I always
um,
thought he was hitting him on the head.
yeah, from the like a couple of the images that are showing on the article, it's like yeah, it's I can see why there's that debate, but yeah, like on a lot of those, it just looks like he's just punching him in the back of the head.
Right.
Yeah, and he definitely. I mean, it was. This comes from the longtime developers of the game, and they talked about the actual creation. And there's an interesting little bit in there where they did change because they were concerned that people were going to go, oh, people are going to be like, oh, poor Yoshi. So there was like a bop noise that went with it that they changed to him going, go.
Uh,
They actually did change the sound in the game,
Yeah,
yeah,
or just the way it was interpreted.
yeah.
Oh.
yeah. According to this,
Like
there
there's
were
an added bop sound. But
Oh, okay.
yeah.
so
However, it seemed like
they
people
it
would say poor
became
Yoshi,
changed.
so that's why it became that
Yeah.
Mario is saying go.
Okay.
But the
But
original art is him smacking him in the head. I feel
yeah,
like poor Yoshi too. Yoshi's so cute.
yeah,
Oh, he's a bloodthirsty beast. He needs to be reined in with good head bops.
I would say that maybe about the skeleton one, but that would hurt your hand.
Well,
yeah,
that's
that
true.
too. Then again, he's wearing gloves, so and he normally like breaks bricks and stuff with his hands, anyways. So
Is he wearing
Oh,
gloves in those old games though? Yeah,
yeah.
it looks. I'm just looking at the sprite and then the
yeah,
color. Yeah, I guess that's white. It's
yeah.
whiter than his skin.
But but yeah, and like there was a game theorist episode where they were discussing whether or not Mario was a sociopath, and that was one of the parts of it that is like he's hitting this dinosaur in the back of the head in order to get him to stick his tongue out. Uh, so it's nice. It's
Well, I was
interesting.
watching. My son was watching a playthrough of Paper, and they've come across Peach, and she's sleeping, and everybody's like, "Hey, wake up!" And he's like, "Oh, this is ridiculous!" And he just starts screaming at her to wake up. Like, it's like I never noticed he had such a temper.
Yeah, as that's one of the reasons why I love the Game Theorist channel on YouTube is just it really makes you think about all these random things which aren't necessarily true, but it's cool to contemplate those things. And yeah, this was one of them. All right, and for me, there's a article I brought was about a game from Epic Games called Fortnite, and they are coming out. They're making Fortnite, which originally its original design, which I think is still in early access, is like a zombie survival. You have to set up your defenses and stuff like that. But they've made a battle royale spin-off, which plays very very similarly to another game that's picking up steam lately, which is Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, which I've been seeing a lot of lately and has been getting a lot of popularity and has kind of launched this the battle royale genre. And so Epic Games made their own version in Fortnite, and from what I've seen, like I said, it functions very similarly to PUBG as it's called, but it has different look and has some different mechanics. Like you can actually build ramps and stuff like that to go up on top of buildings and everything. So I think that's a really cool mechanic. But the article specifically I brought wow, words. Yeah, and that's going to be interesting when I'm trying to record stuff out of for a book. Anyway, they're
Sorry, in my head it was like all of a sudden there's all Scott Johnson and isms peppered throughout, trying to figure out what the name of the person is that you meant to say.
yeah.
Right?
But yeah, the developers Epic Games and Bluehole, which is the developer for PUBG, kind of got into a little bit of conflict because PUBG sees this as, hey, you're stepping on our toes. We kind of did this whole thing first, and you're basically just completely ripping off our idea. And the thing is, that in itself, I actually remember probably another YouTube series or something like that, where it was, as long as you can take the concept of another game and basically just directly apply that to a new game, and that's not you can't copyright a concept. You can only copyright the like the actual game itself.
Right.
So despite the fact that the games play very similarly, they look completely differently. It's the islands are different. There are core mechanics of the games that are different, and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with if Bluehole is going to either kind of retract that statement that they were making, or if they're going to double down and go hard at them. But one thing that's we actually discussed a little bit. We weren't really interested in playing PUBG. Part of it is because it already costs like $30 to play it or something, like, or to get into it, and it's still in an early like beta, relatively early like beta stage or something like that.
Right.
And Fortnite is, seems much more polished, much more stable, and the biggest factor about it is the battle royale spin-off is free to play, which
is always a huge plus.
yeah. And so while I probably won't get into PUBG, I'm definitely going to get into this because I really enjoy the concept of it, the mechanics of it, and I'm probably going to suck at it, but
Well, you never know till you try.
yeah, but this is definitely one I'm going to try. So we'll probably end up adding that to the list. But also part of the article is that the first night that it was released, which as of the recording of this show, I think it was released like either yesterday or the day before, and they already racked up over 1 million players in one day.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's crazy.
That's a big, because there's probably a lot of people just like me who are just like, well, I don't want to pay 30 however much it is to play PUBG. I like the idea, but I don't want to pay that much. Hey, here's a game that's very similar, to the point where the developers are arguing about it and everything, and it's free to play.
Right.
So,
I think our friend Buckeye Fitzy did a bit on this.
really?
On the legal part. Mm-hmm. You might want to hit him up.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to have to talk to him about it
It was
because
one.
yeah,
It was. I think it was a Legal Geeks segment. I don't remember where I heard it, but maybe he'd let us tack it on here too.
yeah, I'll have to check in with him because yeah, this is again, it's like the whole you can't copyright a concept. You can only copyright the like the actual assets and such. So from what I've heard, anyways, but
Yep.
definitely looking forward to trying that game out. Uh, and with that, before we get back to work, I'd like to promote our Patreon, which is patreon.com/parttimegamers. Wanted to start doing this closer to the middle of the show because a lot of times we would do this at the end, and there's probably a lot of people who don't listen to the end of the show. So I just wanted to promote our Patreon now. Don't have any new patrons, and we were running a promotion for September, which I'm just going to make the call now. We're going to extend that into October because we didn't really get the advertisements out and such in time for September. So for if we get 5 new patrons during the month of October before Halloween, probably actually before our last show of the month, which off the top of my head I don't know what the date is, but it'd be the week, the Thursday before Halloween. If we're able to get 5 new patrons, I'll do a live stream at midnight Halloween night of Alien Isolation, probably at least like 2 or 3 hours of it. And so if you want to watch me scream like a little girl and potentially pee myself,
And who doesn't?
yeah, I mean that should be enough right there. But
Right.
whatever. Uh, you can become one of our patrons over at patreon.com/parttimegamers. Got a couple different levels. Like if you wanted to get a coffee mug or a custom print of your headshot in the same style as our logo, you can. We have levels for those, and our first goal is if we get $50, we'll start doing this show live. And after that, if we get $100, we'll start doing a monthly trivia where you could get pulled onto the actual live show and potentially win one of the games we've talked about this month. So if you enjoy our show and would like to support us, you can there at patreon.com/parttimegamers. And with that, it's time for us to get back to work. And this week, I didn't mention it last week, but this is another spoiler episode, continuing on with Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. So if you don't want any spoilers, you can skip this one for now. But if you don't care, we can go right into it. We're going to be talking about episode 3 of the Telltale series. And if you wanted to listen to our shows or listen to our show where we discussed episode 1 of the Telltale series, that's going to be our episode 40. Episode 2 of the Telltale series is our episode 43. So this is all from the perspective of my playthrough, so it's not going to be comprehensive, but gives you a taste of what to expect depending on your choices in the game. And as a reminder, it's developed and published by Telltale Games, as on the title. Yeah, I know, big surprise there. And you can find it on Steam for Windows and Mac for about $25. And you can also get that for PS4 and Xbox One as well. So, when we last left our heroes, they were just entering the was it the temple or whatever at Emnios. And that's where we start off this episode. They're bathed in white light, just walking into this area. And immediately it starts into another memory. It's Peter's memory of him and his mom going into a record store he wanted to copy one of his mixtapes for his mom. And that was the thing that kind of surprised me, was like it takes an hour to copy a mixtape.
Well, yeah, they're generally an hour long. I mean, you're just doing
if you've got it filled up.
Yeah, that
a
makes
little
a little bit more
cassette
sense.
record thing, right? Like,
Yeah. It's
gotta
like that
record some
kind of
real time,
surprised
right?
me
Copy
though.
in real time.
That's
you're so young.
Yeah, actually didn't even factor that in. They're just like, wait, it's copying in real time. Okay, now that makes more sense.
I
Yeah,
used to
wasn't a
Because
digital media
I
little
used to
one.
have to copy I used to have to copy VHS tapes and stuff for work, and trust me, that was one of the first lessons that I learned when I got that when I was in
oh
that
man,
position. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna take the actual time it would take me to watch this. Oh man, come on.
yeah,
Oh, and we used to stay up with our little tape recorder next to the radio, waiting to hit record play. Like,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But so yeah, it starts off with a memory of him and his mom at this record store. His mom leaves, and the bully that he encountered uh, prior to a flashback in episode one comes into the store and starts raising trouble and starts taunting him and stuff like that, and makes the jokes like, "Hey, you making that mixtape for your boyfriend?" and all that jazz, and generally being a bully and saying a bunch of bad things about his mom being poor and trying to get money for operations and stuff like that. Uh, so this is actually right off the bat, you make one of the first big choices of the game, which is basically how you deal with this bully. You can either use your fists or use your words. And like I mentioned in our playthrough, which is up on our YouTube channel, you can watch my playthrough there as well as the previous two episodes. Uh, Coinciding with a choice that I made in the first episode, which was that I could not make the promise to mom to use my words. This is probably the most renegade thing I've done in this whole series, which is I beat the crap out of that bully.
Yeah, I thought that was strange for you.
I know it's like I feel like you keep mentioning, excuse me, over and over that. Well, because I made that choice in another game. Well, because I made that other choice before. I mean, I really it's a continuity issue. You just wanted to beat him up because he was a jerk.
Well, no, the thing
Admit
is, this still coincides with the choice I made in the first episode. Because remember, in the first episode, one of the big choices was the promise to the mother, which was whether or not you'd promise to use your words instead of your fists. And
And you
I
didn't
didn't
make
Right.
make that promise.
But think
Right.
about that in
But
like you
you
were
did want
watching
to
a
beat him up.
movie, Sean, and you make that promise, and then like you're having a flashback to when you were a little boy, and you're coming to this big head where you've got this giant universe-threatening villain, and you remember that like, okay, I didn't promise. I can I can do this. Not the next day you beat the crap out of another little kid.
Well,
True.
It's more a plot
yeah,
device for a harder decision than that.
maybe.
And so, yeah, Zach, I agree. I am surprised that our paladin friend made such a choice.
Well,
Yeah, that was weird. I totally expect you to use your
well,
words.
I don't like. No, for that kid, no, I'm not. No. Oh, but yeah,
I mean, I'm a
like,
Harley Quinn fan, and I would have tried to use my words a little more than you did.
well, anyway, like I mentioned, that's probably the most renegade thing I would do the entire series is beat the crap out of this bully. Uh, which I had Peter do, and uh, pretty much immediately after that, his mom comes in, grabs his arm, pulls him away, and everything starts, telling him how he shouldn't have done that and everything, and the kid runs off, and then his mom starts coughing uncontrollably because she has a terminal brain tumor. So and
Nice, dude.
yeah, and then at the just before the memory fades, the mom looks at him like almost dead eyes and says, "You're almost to me," or something like that, and then the memory ends, and he wakes up and he's in this forest back on Earth, and he starts hearing Gamora like having a like in a it sounds like she's in a fight, but she's all by herself. So you approach her, she ends up attacking you, and you get pulled into one of her memories. It starts off with her and Nebula training together, and actually they're just like regular sisters. They're joking. They're actually kind of nice to each other and not trying to kill each other, although they're training. And at the end of this training session, Gamora pretty much has Nebula down, and you have the option of either beating Nebula or letting her win. And for this one, I chose to beat Nebula because that's pretty much what I thought Gamora would do. They're both highly trained assassins. That's just training, but she's still would be superior, or whatnot, to Nebula, and beat her. And one of the things I found out that was kind of interesting, specifically about this choice, is how nearly evenly split it was. Once you get to the end, this choice in particular was almost 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of surprised me. That's like the closest to 50-50 I've seen any of these choices be.
It was like 49 point something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really, really close. But even with this one, I was still technically in the minority for this choice. To beat Nebula.
Just barely.
Yeah.
I think there was, and I'm going to say we probably should have given a spoiler alert before now. But
I did. I did.
He did.
Oh, I missed it. I didn't hear you. I can see a definite appeal for choosing let her win, because I was just surprised to see the choice. It just seems so no way Gamora would ever do that, that it was tempting to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I wonder if for some of the choices, and especially something like that, I wonder if choosing the one thing actually would result in, something so cut and dry as she wins, or you know what I mean? Like, because some of the choices I feel like they do have a story to tell, and it might affect how the story unfolds, but like the actual plot is not going to change too drastically. I feel, at least not for some of the choices. Some of them will. I think some of them are bigger than others, but
yeah, like I think like who you give Thanos' body to makes, actually, looking at even that one now, it doesn't seem like it plays that big of a role.
Right.
Because it only came up like one more time in the second episode.
Right. And the whole thing about and maybe this will unfold later and it'll be more. Who knows? Because maybe it'll like snowball, and in the further episodes it'll make more of a difference. But like the whole thing with Rocket, you know how like you stomped on all his hopes and dreams, Sean, in your playthrough.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, and you can help him out and be a good person, unlike you.
Yeah.
And like I looked at the differences between that, and honestly there didn't seem to be that much.
Yeah, well, I think that I was like, wait, that was supposed to be the huge monumental struggle choice that you were making, and then you get interrupted anyway. So who knows?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's not like they all bailed because you weren't supporting them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is really the only bad thing that could have happened from they were pissed at you.
There's some story stuff that you miss out on for making one choice over the other, but it's like kind of piddly backstory stuff, and other than that, there's not that much difference. So unless it like really changes your dynamic with Rocket in a further episode, then it really didn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't choices in the games that are huge, because I'm sure that there are.
Yeah, I agree. But continuing on, after the whole training scenario between Gamora and Nebula, Thanos comes in and sends both of them on a mission. And for this mission, you're seeing it from Gamora's side, from her perspective. And the mission is to go in to this, I believe the planet is called Phelan or something like that. And Gamora's charged with getting this device, which we find out later is like a super translator module that is the one that they got from Nebula in episode 2 to translate the runes on the Eternity Forge. And Nebula is charged with killing the Kree general named Tarval, which was a name that was mentioned in episode 2 between Nebula and Gamora. And it's really you find out that this was the last mission that they did together, and it's really the point where their relationship separated. So during this mission, Gamora is going around stealthily and taking out the Kree guards and everything. Gets the device and then sees what she thinks is Nebula in trouble, being attacked by Tarval. So she does the, pretty much what I would consider the responsible, like, older sister thing to do, and jumps into the fight. And Gamora ultimately ends up killing Tarval, which complicates everything with Nebula because that was her task to do. And, eventually Nebula gets up, demands that Gamora give her the module, so that's like, okay, well, if I can't get the kill, then at least I can get the module. So that way it's like, okay, maybe we just switched the goals and it might be, okay with Thanos. And Gamora's trying to kind of console Nebula, who then proceeds to stab her through the stomach, and basically leaves her for dead. And that's where that memory ends. And again, that's really a decisive point between with the relationship of Gamora and Nebula, and that's where they really diverge. But once you wake up from that memory, you briefly have one of what I think is one of the funniest sequences I have played in this game, which is the slap fight. I was dying
That
during
was
that.
funny. Yeah, that was very funny.
So yeah,
I enjoyed
Gamora and Peter end up getting into a slap fight, which is just hilarious. Of course, Peter concedes because he's a wimp and Gamora's awesome.
Right.
But once they get through that, seriously, go watch the video of it. It's hilarious. But once they get through that, they start hearing this music that is actually the opening song that you hear on the title screen, which the name of it I do not recall, but it's the same song. Peter says that's the song, one of his mom's favorite songs. They end up going into the church where they had the funeral for his mom, and work their way up to the casket, open it up, and the whole church changes into this. It looks like a Kree temple, basically, with this giant. It looks like basically a giant Kree casket, and it opens up, and this figure falls out of it, and you find out that it's Mantis, which is the same character from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, who's able to, she's an empath, able to feel and force others to feel emotion and everything like that. And you find out that she's actually telepathically connected to the Eternity Forge, and was drawing Peter to her through these memories. So all of the memories and everything, manipulated memories that they've been experiencing, was because of her trying to lead them to herself. So, all of that was because of her. Because apparently Peter is the Celestial One, which, if you've watched the movie, you know that he is actually half Celestial. He's Ego's son.
Mm-hmm.
So he's apparently this, like, predestined person who's able to make the decisions about the Eternity Forge. But you get Mantis, take her back to the ship, and Mantis starts explaining all these things, about the Celestial One, about the Eternity Forge, and, during that sequence, Rocket asks, well, why didn't it bring back, Layla, or Lila, however you pronounce her name. I think it's Lila.
I think it's Lila.
Yeah.
Lila.
Why it didn't bring her back. And it's like, okay, well, the body needs to be mostly intact, and you have to have you can't create life, you have to transfer it. So Eternity Forge wasn't charged with a life, and Lila's body was pretty much deteriorated. But the Eternity Forge is not at full power. So this is the big revelation about the Eternity Forge, is that it can be powered up at another shrine, and it can be made so that it can bring back anyone from any timeline, from any time, bring them back to the living, regardless of their body or anything. but once again, still needs a life to do it. Or it can be destroyed at the same shrine, which, foreshadows a choice later on, is what you do with the Eternity Forge, which we'll get to in a little bit.
That was so rough. Mantis, so it was so awkward. She's trying to explain to Rocket basically that Lila was basically too decomposed, and that's why it
Yeah.
didn't work. It was rough.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I think the Mantis as a character is really interesting to the story because she does her entire thing is emotion. So it's not just is like her character actually brings like some emotion to the rest of the characters too,
Yeah.
and to the rest of the story. Um,
I like her so much, and her busting Rocket for mistranslating Groot.
yes,
Like my favorite
that
thing.
was hilarious. That was another thing
Because
that's awesome.
you know he was doing that.
And it's like, you knowingly mistranslated Groot? How many times have you done that? Um, yeah, so that was funny as well. But yeah, after she tells you all this about the Eternity Forge, she can lead you to this shrine. The problem is that everyone in the crew is so emotionally charged right now that it overloads her senses, and she can't sense the shrine. So
Right.
you have to go to each one and kind of like resolve their emotional baggage at that point. And one of the things that one of the part of that is you get to Gamora and you have to try to convince her either her and Nebula just had this big argument and have parted ways in the bar that they're at. And so you go to Gamora and you have to try to convince her to either give up on Nebula or to keep her around, try to fix the divide that they had. So for that one, I obviously told her, like I've said for the entire series, she's family. You need to try to mend this. And you go after that. Peter goes to Nebula and tries to convince her the same thing. And in order to get a better understanding of what happened, you actually see the same Tarval mission, but this time from Nebula's side. So, and I think that was a really cool part, the fact that they had the same event, but seen from two different perspectives and how those perspectives changed.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, that
from
was a pretty good story.
yeah. So from Nebula's side, before the mission even starts, Thanos is talking to her and is telling her that he no longer trusts Gamora. That, she could potentially, you know, turn on them and everything to keep an eye on her and to keep communications open during the mission, and that he would be monitoring. So once they get into the mission and Gamora ends up killing Tarval, Thanos is hearing all of this. So Gamora is, I made the choice that it's like, okay, Gamora said, okay, we're not going to tell him anything. We're going to tell him, okay, you killed Tarval. I got the device, and we'll just leave it at that. Not knowing that Thanos is hearing all of this. So basically, Thanos said to Nebula, okay, if you don't kill her right now, I'm going to make her suffer. Like, even worse. So Nebula, being a very proficient assassin, stabs Gamora without killing her. It was a grave wound, but not lethal. And this was basically, in some unfortunate fashion, how Nebula was saving Gamora. That she did this to save Gamora. And so that brings their relationship into a whole different light, because now it's you have both perspectives, and it's like, okay, so neither of them really were wrong about the other. They were just misinformed about their motivations. So I thought that was
Thanos, yeah, with the worst kind of abusive control freak, just not seeing that them working together and succeeding overall would be a greater goal, because he just needed this thumb on their back control of you will only do exactly as I say or you're nothing to me. It's
Yeah.
just made him it villainized him even further. It was
Yeah.
I to me, it personalized that more than in the past. It's just that, yeah, he wants to rule the universe. What else is new?
Yeah. But it
So it
was
was
a
good storytelling, yeah.
yeah, I thought that was a really cool piece of storytelling. Like I said, going from the different perspectives and explaining the story between the two of them. So after that, after you see Nebula's side of the story, Gamora comes in and her and Nebula start arguing as per the norm. And
Nothing new there, right?
yeah, that's just what they do.
That's the
But
dynamic.
yeah, but Peter jumps in and says like, "Hey, you both want the same thing. You both want to be a family again." And that's where the fourth major choice comes in, where you can tell Nebula to stay or tell her to go. And I obviously said Nebula should stay, try to mend the relationship, which it seems like it's on the right track now. Nebula is no longer actively trying to kill everyone. She's just kind of apathetic towards a lot of their exploits. Oh, but it's actually like their relationship is actually seemed to be on the best terms that they've been in a while. Now that they both know both sides of the story from Tarval or from that
Right.
mission. So I thought that was really cool how it's interesting to see because in every other reference we've only seen them as enemies, and to see them now kind of join forces and become assassin sisters, which I agree with. Excuse me.
Sisters.
Yeah, I agree with Peter that would be a really cool band name.
The Assassin Sisters.
Yes, that they're actually becoming a family now, to a certain degree. But moving on, after that, Mantis is able to sense where the shrine is. Then you go back to the Milano. She's trying to lead you to the shrine, which leads into my next favorite montage of the series so far. In order for Mantis to lead them to the shrine, she has to be completely focused so that she can't have any distractions. Again, on a dysfunctional family ship like this, there's always distractions. Mm-hmm. So Peter has to spend the next, this montage just trying to calm everybody down enough for Mantis to be able to focus, which comes into like some of the funniest things I've seen in this series happen during this sequence. Like starting off, Drax and Rocket are arguing with each other, and the first thing you see is Peter put his finger over Drax's mouth. And Drax is just like looking at him, just like, I don't know how to interpret this. Rocket starts laughing, and then you take your other hand and just like clamp down on his snout and just shut the both of them up. And it's like that kind of thing kind of continues on. Like Drax ends up arguing with Nebula, so he says, "Hey, how about instead of arguing, you have an arm wrestling contest?" And the thing is, Nebula's using her robotic arm, which apparently is incredibly strong.
Super strong.
Yeah, so it's Nebula ends up becoming Nebula versus Drax and Gamora, and she's just holding strong until Rocket comes up behind her and shocks her into submission. Which I still thought was hilarious. Yeah. So, but yeah, you go through this whole sequence of Peter trying to just get everyone calm enough that Mantis can focus. But
and Mantis decides to go dancing out in space.
Yeah, that's another part. Is Mantis is like, there's a song playing in the background, and Mantis is either like dancing to that, or just like floating through space, or just like random stuff like that. And it's like, for crying out loud, you can like practically see the. Yeah, it's. I think it's an awesome sequence, but I'm just like trying to imagine Peter's like you can see the veins popping out of his forehead. He's just trying to keep everyone in line so they can get to the shrine in time. But eventually, Mantis is able to lead you to where the shrine is. And everyone goes down to that shrine, put the Eternity Forge on this altar. You have to do a little bit of puzzle solving, getting these 3 lights to shine onto it to activate the the temple or the shrine or whatever. And this is where the final choice of this episode takes place, which is to either destroy the Eternity Forge or to empower the Eternity Forge. And this one, again, was also very nearly split. It was like...
That was weird. That was weird to me that it was like that. I thought it would
Yeah.
be like highly towards destroying. I thought everybody
Yeah.
would be destroying the Eternity Forge.
Yeah, but this one, it was like 40... it was like 45 to 55%
Yeah.
in the favor of destroying it. Which was what I did. I think during the recording, compared it to a choice from Mass Effect 2, where you had to either destroy or you could keep the collector base, and I always destroyed it. So this was basically, to me, the same kind of decision. It's like, okay, this is something of incredible power that, someone, or the big bad, is actively trying to get their hands on in order to literally raise an army. We can't have this in existence. Which,
Well, I mean, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few is something
Yeah.
that a lot of, this audience for this game is going to believe that they would make the right choice. But these characters, I mean, we talk about Drax's family, and we
Yeah.
just saw Rocket's, like a big emotional opening of Rocket in the last section of the series. So I think the desire to want to see what happens if you can do that for them. I mean, because they pushed hard on Peter.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And,
would have.
just the idea of choosing that to see if you get to see more of their story is very compelling.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the. I definitely would have empowered it, just because. I mean, my initial thought when that choice came up and I was watching your playthrough, I was like, oh man, I think everybody's going to go ahead and destroy it, because that's like, to me, that's the clear, like, good choice.
Yeah.
Because it nobody should have it. That's just the way it is. That power is going to corrupt. But I would have done the exact opposite if I were playing, just because I want to see where the game would have gone with it.
Yeah.
And what they would have done, and what would have happened. But
Yeah. So yeah, by choosing to destroy it, you kind of alienate Drax and Rocket. But you kind of come in, or get on better terms with, like, Gamora and Groot, and a little bit of Nebula, although I think she doesn't actually care. But so you start the process of it being destroyed. But before it's fully destroyed, Hala finds you, attacks you in the shrine, and which I think was kind of an interesting combat and everything. But ultimately, she's able to get to the Eternity Forge, which is now powered up by Kree that were killed. And she's able to use it to briefly bring back her son, which to a certain extent humanizes her again, or like humanizes her, because she's not just trying to get it to bring back, her soldiers and everything like that to create an army. She also wants to bring back her family, which is what motivated Rocket and Drax as well.
Right.
So, like I said, it just kind of humanizes her a little bit. But as I said, it only briefly brings him back. Shortly after she does that, it's fully destroyed, and her son disappears with it. So by the end of this, the Eternity Forge is completely destroyed, and Hala is very angry and is getting ready to attack again. But that's where the episode ends, with the destruction of the Eternity Forge and everything. So, before I started playing this episode, I was looking at some other reviews and stuff, and a lot of people thought that this was one of the weaker episodes so far. And while I kind of agree that the choices themselves may not seem as game-changing as previous episodes, this was still one of my favorite episodes of the series, just for the entertainment factor.
Sure.
And this had some of my favorite sequences so far. And it is going to be interesting to see how these choices again make a difference in later episodes, especially what to do, what's going on with the Eternity Forge.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it broke up, but it seems like it looked like Hollow was somehow infused with some of the power from it being
Uh-huh.
right
Yeah.
there when it was being destroyed. And I found that very interesting because as they were taking out her minions, you saw what seemed like their souls going into the forge, and I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah.
if
Powering
it's
it
being
up or
destroyed, why is that happening? It's powering from that, and that makes me wonder if that choice, if you were going to power it up, like I think you would have been interrupted by Hala regardless,
I think so
Yeah.
too.
but then it might have led to more story in those veins after if it weren't also destroyed because it was powering up with more souls than you needed to pick back up. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what happened to Hala.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what's going on with Hala, because she did appear very different afterwards. Like you said, it seemed like she was affected somehow by the Eternity Forge. So it could be that maybe the Eternity Forge, while the physical Eternity Forge is no longer intact, that maybe its power is still intact in through Hala. So
Yeesh.
it
Well, that will be bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see what happens in later episodes. Oh, but it was interesting. Most of the choices that I made were in the majority, with the exception of the first two, which the first one was vastly in the minority. The second one was just barely in the minority, but everything else was in the majority, including destroying the Eternity Forge, which again was surprisingly split. But so that's where we are in my story for Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know when the next episode's supposed to be coming out, but we'll see what happens with that. You guys
I think I really should get this game. I feel
Yeah.
like Zach or I would both have very
Yeah.
different results than
Oh,
you.
I'm
think
sure
so.
you'd have.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because both of you can actually stand to play Renegade. Just like in literally every game I play where there's some sort of morality, even if it's not direct, like in this, I have to play Paragon. I cannot bring myself to play Renegade.
Sometimes you just got to break bad, man.
I know. Which,
Right?
strangely enough, my character in our campaign, our D&D campaign, is going to be leaning more towards that. But anyway,
Breaking Bad. That's
yeah.
good.
I mean, it's not going to be so much Breaking Bad as much as breaking faces.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, she's going to be yeah. I actually don't want to mention what she's going to be because the rest of the players don't know what she is yet. So
Right. Keep it secret.
yeah, she's going to be some sort of melee, but we're not going to go that any further than that.
Right.
Oh, anyways, there was anything else you guys wanted to mention? I think we covered pretty much all the highlights.
Yeah. I think we got it.
All right. Well, you know what it's time for then. All right. Time for our employee assessment, and since it seems to be going pretty well, we're going to be doing the higher lower version. So I got 6 questions. Who's going first? September, you're going to be going first.
Woo!
Cheats. Hacks.
So you have to answer the question. If you get it wrong, Zach has a chance to guess higher or lower, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right. So question number.
You just want to keep doing this higher lower because you don't remember any of the song names.
That's true.
No, actually, I do know some of the songs. In fact, that's one of the questions. But no, it's because this is actually easier for me to do than having to come up with multiple choice. So, it's easier for you guys too.
I'm just poking fun. I think this has been a better format for the game.
Oh, yeah. Well, good. No, we'll probably stick with it then. Anyway, question number 1. How many Kree does Gamora deal with before killing Tarval? And the answer is between 0 and 9. And by deal with, we don't explicitly see if she kills them or just knocks them out, but they're otherwise incapacitated.
Well, there were some she shot right in the head. I know those,
Yeah. So they're probably dead, but a lot of them she just knocked out. But how many Kree did she deal with before killing Tarval?
I'm gonna say 4.
This is wrong. Zach, is the actual answer higher or lower than 4?
I think it's higher than 4.
That is correct. It was
That's how
8.
she rolls. Yeah.
8?
I thought it was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. There was 4 before she got the device, and there was another 4 afterwards before she killed Tarval.
Right.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It was in the question. Sorry.
Yeah. Sure. They just shift points of view. Like I'm thinking through the scene, and like I know where I missed the count.
Yeah. Alright, question number 2 for Zach. How many slaps are exchanged between Peter and
I
Peter
knew
and
this was
Gamora?
gonna be Okay, wait. Say the question. Is it exchanged between the two of them, or just one of them slapping the other?
No,
What are we at?
between the two of them. For
Oh
how
my
many
God.
slaps total between both of them were
All
exchanged?
right, give me the number range.
It's between 10 and 19.
Oh my God. Hang on. I was just trying to calculate this out, actually, because I thought you would have this as a question. But
How
didn't
could I
go back
not
and
have
watch
this
it.
as a question?
I know. Hang on. You slapped me.
Now this, also, I'm including the ones that came prior to the choice to have the slap fight.
Okay. Oh my God. 17.
That is incorrect. September, is the actual answer higher or lower than 17?
Lower.
That is correct. It was 14.
14.
Ah.
I would have nailed that one.
It's still one of my favorite sequences of the series so
That
far.
was really funny. That was very funny.
Alright, question number 3 for September. Similar to the first one, but the other side of it. How many Kree does Nebula deal with before attacking Tarval? And the answer is between 0 and 9.
She's down in that dark hallway. How the hell?
Okay, let me rephrase that. How many do you see her deal with?
What's the range?
0 to 9.
6.
It's incorrect. Zach, is the actual answer higher or lower than 6?
I think it's lower.
It's correct. You actually only see her deal with 1.
Oh, really?
Yep, she deals with the one that's at the door and then immediately attacks Tarval.
Huh.
Oh, that's weird. I must be misremembering that then. Okay, I didn't think it was much lower than 6. Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 guys that are next to Tarval that end up running away, but she doesn't even deal with them. There's only one that she kills before attacking Tarval.
Okay.
That you see. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
That
more
they
in the
show.
hallway, but they only
They
show her
imply.
dealing with one. Yeah.
Right.
All right, question number 4, going back to Zach.
We
During the
should have nailed
sequel,
him though. We should have just said, in Gamora's point of view or Nebula's.
I said Nebulous. But all right. Question number 4. During the sequence when Peter is helping Mantis to focus on leading them to the shrine, the song Shambhala from Three Dog Night plays. What year was that song released? And your range is the 70s.
Damn you, Sean. Dude, I'm not. 77.
Incorrect. September, was it earlier or later than 77?
Earlier.
Correct. It came out in 1973.
Blech.
I think my mom had that album.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of amused by the songs that they have in this. It's I can keep on just coming up with these questions for them. All right, question number 5, going back to September. During Hala's attack on the shrine, how many souls are seen being absorbed by the Eternity Forge? Now, keep in mind, there are more that are seen exiting bodies, but there's only a certain number seen and being absorbed by the Eternity Forge, and the range is from 0 to 9.
I only remember seeing 2 or 3. I'll go with 3.
Right on the money.
Oh, that's exactly what I was gonna get.
Yep. You see 3 of them absorbed by the Eternity Forge.
Because then I was watching for it, and
Yeah,
it
me
wasn't
too.
shown anymore, and I was wondering if like they were just not showing it. I mean, it would make sense that it would have kept happening.
Yeah. Because, they did show, I think, at least like 6 or 7, come out of the Kree's bodies, but they only showed 3 of them being absorbed. So the other ones are implied.
Like, just enough to make sure you got what was going on. Because I kind of
Yeah.
missed the first one, what exactly what was happening. And the second one seemed more obvious.
Yeah. All right, last question. Going back to Zach.
Whoa, wait! I thought there were 5 questions. We have 6 questions now.
Yeah, we have 6. You
All
each
right.
get to answer 3 questions.
Well, okay, all right. Jeez.
This is not the first time we've done this.
Why did it go back to me though? Because are we
Because-
switching? Because she got a point. Okay,
I got it right.
Well, no,
yeah.
Yeah.
we switch because you're just answering questions.
I'm with you, man.
All right, last question. Question number 6. At the time of the recording, what percentage rounded down of players chose to punch the bully? And your range is 20 to 29. And I'm just looking for the whole number rounded down.
Dude. 29.
Incorrect.
You just giving me that? So like it's lower.
No, I actually thought I remembered the number 29.
Yeah,
Okay.
September, is it higher or lower?
Lower.
Yeah. It's 24.
be.
Did you get that? Yeah, it's 24.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I heard
yeah,
ya.
that means Ember ended up winning. Oh, I don't remember how many points, but Ember got more than you, Zach.
I think she got 3 and I got 2.
Yeah,
Or-
I think that's what it was.
No, maybe she got 2 and I got 1.
I don't remember.
I don't think I've ever won.
Yeah,
You have now.
you officially won this one because you were right on 2, 4. No, you got 4 points for that one, September. Zach only got 2.
That's how I roll.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
All right. And with that brings us to the end of our workday. Everyone, thank you for joining us. As we mentioned before, if you find value in our show and would like to support us, you can at patreon.com/parttimegamers. You can also help us by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you'd like to contact the show, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or on Twitter at PTGcast. You can find me on Twitter at Searanex, or on blizzard.net, or battle.net, or whatever it's called now. I think they change the name every 3 weeks, it seems. I think it's officially back to battle.net, though, with the battle tag Searanex number 1996. And you can find the show and the rest of my work at caffeineinducedproductions.com. Ember, where can people find you on the internet?
I can be found at 9 of 12 on Twitter and Twitch, and my battle tag is 9 of 12 number 1102. You can also hear me at geekgrills.com.
Awesome. And Zach?
You can find me on BlizzNet BattleNet with the Battle Blizz tag Zachalith number 14.
I love how you just keep on adding more words to those.
Well, if they're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. That's how it goes.
All right, everyone. Until next time, we are the Part-Time Gamers, clocking out.